No one has ever seen such an unconventional noble daughter before. At 26, Hailing is still unmarried. She became the old maid in the noble circle. While the young ladies study women's etiquette seriously, she secretly takes a nap in class. The teacher grilled them about when they would do sex to have a son. The youngest girl remained silent. She tosses the question to Hailing beside her. At this moment, another girl takes over the conversation. As the only unmarried woman among us, she might have figured it all out during her long years of being single. Hailing didn't expect to be called on by the teacher. After some thought, she stated the date. Although she got it right, she was still criticized by the teacher. The reason was her attitude was too casual. A virtuous woman knows but doesn't reveal. Facing the teacher's endless speaking, Hailing perfunctorily expressed agreement. During the next etiquette class, Hailing goofed off. By evening, Hailing secretly reads novels to rich ladies, because at this time in Hanyang City, the ladies really love the novels by the author Mai Hua. As soon as his books are published, there are people everywhere gathered to listen. Only the unconventional Hailing doesn't like Mai Hua's works, so she read novels to a lady for half a month. At the end, she deliberately changed the part in the book, altering the romantic young man's role, killing him off. This made the listeners very unhappy. The madam angrily kicked Hailing out. Hailing, upset about not getting her salary, wanted to vent. She stealthily went to the master's door. "Madam, as per your preference, I brought you the book you wanted. I'll take my leave now." The master came out and picked up the book. "There you, this damn desire. What is all this?" "Madam," Hailing, who was thrown out by the lady. The next day, she came back to the bookstore. She asked him to help her get a job with the introduction again, coincidentally called the release of the new book by Mai Hua. The busy bookstore owner had no time for Hailing. Refusing to give up, she pestered the boss so much that he almost cursed. Last time, introducing her to the wife of chief clerk of the personnel ministry, but she offended them, causing him big trouble. Do she know the lady's endless foul bad language? It almost scared the life out of him. Finally, at Hailing's request, the boss told her that if she wants to keep working in reading, she should read the newly released romance novel by Mai Hua. At this moment, the second prince sneaked out of the palace and arrived at the bookstore. Seeing the encouragement from fans to the author, the prince felt delighted. He lowered his head. He was captivated by Hailing reading intently downstairs. Time seemed to stop at that moment. The second prince, having come to his senses, straightened his attire. With unshakable confidence, he was ready to step forward. But he was startled by the girl's sudden yawn. "This book is too boring. It almost made me fall asleep standing up." Li Lin was puzzled and asked why she disliked the book written by Mai Hua. Hailing explained that it's just a mindless, cliched novel. She wondered who had the audacity to write it. If he had any conscience, he should stop writing. Li Lin never expected that the novel he had painstakingly written would be criticized so harshly. After stopping Hailing, Li Lin persistently asked again, "Why would you make everyone beloved Mai Hua worthless?" Looking at the man who is meddling with her, Hailing questioned, "Are you really Mai Hua?" Li Lin, afraid of being exposed, shut his mouth, had to let Hailing leave arrogantly. What Hailing didn't expect was the writer Mai Hua she hated. The bookstore owner discovered an opportunity. Hailing was brought before the officials by the bookstore owner. They asked her to impersonate the famous author Mai Hua for a signing event. Hailing flatly refused and started to leave. Seeing this, the official took out a contract. In the end, Hailing compromised to save the poor boy. That evening, in a mansion, Hailing impersonated the author at the official's reading event. She began reading and signing for the fans. Just as she called for the next person, Li Lin suddenly appeared. "My name. Please write a Mai Hua for me." Hailing took a moment to recognize the visitor. Although she quickly covered her face, Li Lin recognized her. After her identity was revealed, Hailing had to apologize to the fans. The fan was about to lose their temper after realizing they had been deceived. Hailing directly revealed that Li Lin is Mai Hua. Just when everyone was confused, officials from the Engine Bureau barged in, looking to capture Mai Hua and confiscate all the books. The scene was immediately in chaos. To avoid the soldiers, Hailing pushed Li Lin out. To the scholar, "Please don't forgive me. Let me go." And just like that, Li Lin was thrown into jail. "I want revenge." The next day, the detained Li Lin was asked by the captain to show his ID. Li Lin, looking confused, said he didn't have one. Hearing this and seeing Li Lin's carefree demeanor, the captain started to feel uneasy. Could it be that he's a son of the official? The captain cautiously asked Li Lin about his father's rank. Just as the captain was about to point a finger, one of his men reported someone was confessing. It turned out to be Li Lin's close attendant, replacing his master. All of Mei Hua's works had been destroyed. The reason is the crime of disrupting morals and social order. Thus, the second prince returning to the palace was scolded harshly by the king. Li Lin, who had no chance to explain, was imprisoned by the king. He also had all his books and writing supplies confiscated. Devastated, Li Lin even had nightmares, dreaming that his father killed him. Meanwhile, ambitious Hailing received an ultimatum from her brother. The marriage is set. Get ready, it's time for her to marry. The 26-year-old spinster is finally getting married, but the groom hesitated at the crucial moment. I can't go through with this marriage. Amid the bride's parents' scolding, the groom ran away. Meanwhile, Hailing slipped out the back door. With her maid's help, Hailing successfully escaped. As a noblewoman who opposes marriage, Hailing has always had ambitions like a man. She doesn't want to be stuck scheming in the back house. Find the groom on the night before the wedding. Request to cancel the wedding. Seeing his tearful fiancée, the man agreed. Hailing, who escaped, arrived at the female envoy exam. It turns out the current prince is in charge of the government. To record information about the royal harem, the officials organized it unprecedentedly. An exam to select female historian official. The exam room was filled with various levels of cheating. As everyone began to submit their papers, Hailing finally started writing her answers. To choose the most outstanding female candidate, the prince personally came to review the exam papers. After looking through the papers, the prince spoke candidly. They all hired the same person to ghostwrite and cheat for them. It seems some people still don't realize how serious the crime of examiners colluding and cheating is. Then the prince asked the historian official to recommend the most promising paper. Amidst the opposition from the ministers, the prince finished reading the answers. What a presumptuous and rude answer sheet. The results were soon announced. Hailing's name is at the top. But then the 6 words at the East Palace 3 p.m. today made her puzzled. Hailing was soon brought before the heir. After a discussion with the heir, Hailing came out, her legs trembling. She felt she surely had no chance. In the final selected list, Hailing unexpectedly heard her name. But the top scholar went to the eldest daughter of the chief clerk of the historiography ministry. The heir himself handed out official papers to the 4 chosen girls. But the top scholar, Song Shishi, whether intentionally or not, she touched the heir's hand. Hailing was very happy to receive the heir's approval. But Hailing did not know that the second princess who she betrayed was planning to find her and tear her apart. Li Lin took advantage of the heir apparent's permission to leave the palace. He aggressively confronted the bookstore owner who betrayed him. The personal officer finished his prepared insults. Then, he posed. With one he knocked out the bookstore's teeth. The owner saw the thing which he used for work was broken. Like a hungry tiger, he tackled the officer. The second prince, wanting to intervene, stepped forward. I told you all to stop fighting. The officer, feeling hurt, wiped his master's nosebleed. He said the boss has really messed up today. Under one person playing the bad cop and the other the good cop. The boss quickly revealed that he had betrayed Li Lin. The woman was Ju Hailing. Her name was. It turned out to be Hailing. The next day, the 4 newcomers happily started their jobs. With the enthusiastic guidance of their colleagues, the 4 followed the directions but ended up outside the palace gate. The 4 of them were finally tricked. She went to the Yuengwen to discuss with her colleagues. To her surprise, they laughed at her mercilessly. They even claimed she wasn't fit for the job. They said as a woman she should marry early and focus on family. Then they made her serve tea and run errands. They created all sorts of difficulties for her. Lunchtime arrived. The colleagues were enjoying their meals, but they could only watch from the sidelines. Even colleagues dropped their tofu. They ordered them to pick it up immediately. The 4 of them couldn't take the constant demands anymore. They felt they were being ignored. It must be because they didn't hold the welcoming ceremony. The welcoming ceremony refers to the need to hold a banquet. They had to obey everything the seniors said. They can only gain their colleagues' approval through the welcoming ceremony. They approached a senior to say they would hold a welcoming ceremony. Do you know what happened to the welcoming ceremony? Yes, I know. If you want to hit us, we'll endure it. If you want us to dance, we'll dance. If you want us to strip, we'll do that too. First, invited colleagues think they are crazy. At night, colleagues drinking from small cups. They intentionally asked them to drink from big bowls. Shishi quickly drank 2 bowls, but her colleagues had no intention of letting her off. Just as she bravely tried to drink a 3rd bowl, Hailing took the bowl and gulped it down. Then she went straight to her colleague who purposely made difficulties for Shishi. She had them bring out the wine jar for a drinking contest. As an old maid, Hailing, her 2 favorite pastimes are sleeping in and having a drink. Soon, all the colleagues in the room were knocked out by Hailing's drinks. On the other side, The second prince sneaked out of the palace again to confront Hai Ling. He waited by the bridge all night. Not only did he not see half a glimpse of Hai Ling, but was also teased by the attendant. It felt like being stood up by a lover.
What are you talking about?
A lover? My lifelong nemesis, an enemy I can't coexist with. You actually called me your lover. If it's not true, why get so angry?
Jew Hai Ling.
The next day, Hai Ling overslept. She was stopped outside the palace gate for being late. With a reminder from a kind guard, Hai Ling sneaked to the outer wall of Elbutang. She successfully crawled through a dog hole. Thinking about the guard's special warning, this is a place strictly forbidden for palace staff. So Hai Ling is sneaking around, but she doesn't realize someone has come up behind her.
Are you lost?
Realizing this, Hai Ling got up to look.
My who?
Sparrow. Li Lin finally saw his enemy after searching for days. He showed a sly smile. He intentionally frightened Hai Ling for trespassing. Not believing it, she turned to leave.
Come here.
What do you want? The second prince was covered by a girl's hand for the first time. His heart raced, completely missing what Hai Ling said. To ease the awkwardness, Li Lin composed himself, started bringing up old issues with Hai Ling, pretending to be a plum blossom at the reading meeting. Sold to the authorities, ignored their agreement again last night. This last point put Hai Ling in a tough spot. She asked Li Lin when they had made an agreement. I sent you a letter. Let's meet at Guangtong Bridge on the first day of the month at dusk. I haven't received it. Now, Li Lin feels even more embarrassed. Fortunately, at that moment, Li Lin's personal attendant arrived. The attendant realized that Hai Ling was impersonating Mai Hua. He feared she would continue to entangle with his master. He grabbed Hai Ling and was going to take her to the Yuwenguan. But after coming out, he only pointed Hai Ling to the direction of the Yuwenguan. Li Lin saw that the returning eunuch was very unhappy. He asked him why he would let go of an enemy who was so close at hand so easily. The eunuch said he was protecting you, his prince. What if that big-mouthed woman learns his identity? That would expose him as Mai Hua to everyone. Isn't he afraid the king will actually harm him? As a prince, he can't do anything, but Mai Hua can do a lot. On the other side, back at the Yuwenguan, Hai Ling was called out by her colleague. She mentioned helping her with the drinks last night. Hai Ling quickly said the colleague shouldn't mention it. Unexpectedly, the other person said she was being nosy. She warned her to stop being so self-righteous. Hai Ling, not taking it seriously, was unaware that greater humiliation was coming. She was just about to go to work, blocked by the Queen Mother's palace's Lady Kui. She was not given a chance to speak. Lady Kui angrily summoned them to see the Queen Mother. The four of them arrived, heart-pounding, at the Queen Mother's palace. To their surprise, the Queen Mother was very kind. She cheerfully told them, as the historian officials, they should serve the country well. After asking them about their life in the Yuwenguan, she let them leave. The four of them discussed the Queen Mother's kindness as they left, but suddenly he was stopped by Lady Kui. She ordered the maidens to capture Hai Ling and the others. Hai Ling simply asked why they had to do that, but she was slapped hard in return. Lady Kui harshly told Hai Ling, today, she will teach them the rules of inner court ladies. Soon, for beautiful girls beaten and covered in bruises. Then, warning the four not to think that passing the historian official exam means they can be like men. As long as they stay in the palace, they will always be the prince's women. They must follow the rules for inner court ladies. Forget everything they have seen and heard. Remain in a state of no sight, hearing, or heart. Just obey the command of the Queen Mother. Why should we do that? We are the historian official. Why follow the rules of the inner court? There's someone brave enough to speak out. Lady Kui brings a heated iron. Make Hai Ling remember this day forever. The iron is about to touch Hai Ling's face. What are you doing? It turns out the male historian official from the Yuwenguan is rushing over under Minute Yu Yuan's lead, facing Minute Yu Yuan's questions. The arrogant Lady Kui claims it's a matter for the inner court. When did it become a pen-wielding scholar's business? She privately summoned officials to pressure them. When did this become an inner court duty? Then, unafraid of the threats, he instructed his colleagues to take the fourth female official historian back first. Hai Ling, who came out, worried about leaving Minute Yu Yuan alone, but she was reprimanded by her colleagues. Why were they walking in groups with strangers? Even dogs know not to go with strangers. Moreover, the official historian's position is special. Even if the prince and ministers summoned them, they must report to the Yuwenguan first. A female official historian said that since they came to the Yuwenguan, all their colleagues did was mock and ignore them. What have their colleagues taught? Now even a small palace maid dares to look down on them. This scene was just seen by Minute Yu as he came out. Once they returned to the Yuen, Minute Yuen began teaching them how to be a historian. The next day, he took them to the court to record the proceedings. The ministers coming to court saw them and shouted angrily, "How can women be here? They should leave immediately." Minute Yuen, however, ignored the minister's scolding. He instructed them on where the official historian should stand. The ministers were relentless in their demands. "This is a place for state affairs. How can there be women here? This is a disgraceful scene." Minute Yuen ignored him as he was just babbling. Soon, the emperor went to court. A few people were quickly taking notes. After returning to the Yuen, everyone couldn't help but laugh at their notes. After Minute Yuen reviewed each one, he sighed, realizing it wasn't easy. He couldn't read a single word. The female official historian is curious. There are so many officials. How can they quickly remember each one? Minute Yuen handed them a book detailing the appearance and ranks of each official. The official historians not only record the court affairs, but also the daily lives of the masters of the various palaces. The next day, Hailing was assigned to the Lu Hall. Upon entering, Hailing nervously greeted the second prince. Suddenly, a man jumped out beside her, claiming to be the second prince's personal attendant. Every time Hailing asked a question, the second prince, who was pretending attendant, took over the conversation. He claimed that his answers represented the second prince's intention. Lin finally caught the chance for revenge. He deliberately made Hailing do many things. Under the command of the second prince, Hailing had to comply. While working at Han, she didn't forget to vent some frustration on the attendant. Before leaving, she stepped heavily on Lin's foot, then turned around and apologized, saying, "My Hua, you writes those mindless novels. You wanted to experience the feeling about fall in love. After all, you're not a healthy man. So I completely understand you now. Then please forgive me too. You can do it. Ju Hei. I'm not like that. My Hua." Hailing looked around and picked up a stick, ready to advance. "I am the Prince of Korea, Gao Yuan, Great King." Hearing a man say he's the prince, the masked person hesitated. Just then an arrow flew. Lin barely escaped. Hailing quickly asked what happened, but the once imposing prince suddenly collapsed in weakness. The doctor checked the pulse and said the man only has qi deficiency. His hands clearly showed that he has never done manual labor. He must be a noble gentleman. Hailing gazed at the exquisite face before her. She couldn't help but recall what she had just vaguely heard. "I am the Prince of Joseon, Gao Yuan, Great King." Just then, Lin happened to wake up. Before Hailing could ask, Lin got up and left. The next day, Hailing sought to confirm Lin's identity. She came to the college to see the Royal Appearance Register. The Royal Appearance Register contains basic information about palace personnel, but when she turned to the page of Prince Dao Yuan, she found it was blank. This made Hailing even more curious. What kind of person is Mai Hua, whom she knows? She asked her colleague why it was like this while holding a book. The woman looked at Hailing with curiosity. She said, "Don't you know about the second prince? The second prince lives in the Lu Hall. He has suffered from severe mania since birth. He often mistreats and hits the palace maids. He's also a beastly figure covered in sores." Hailing was nearly speechless upon hearing this. Still shaken from the shock, Hailing was just assigned to document the second prince's life. Hailing nervously arrived at the Lu Hall. Realizing he couldn't hide it, Lin turned around. As their eyes met, both felt a mix of emotions. Recalling her actions towards the second prince, Hailing felt extremely anxious. Finally, she managed to reach quitting time. Hailing quickly packed her things and was about to leave, but Lin rushed over to stop her. Hailing thought he was going to confront her. Instead, Lin thanked Hailing for not leaving him last night, and he apologized for hiding his identity earlier. When Hailing returned to the Yuen, her colleagues were surprised that she came back unscathed. Hailing took the opportunity to clear Lin's name. As a result, Lin developed lovesickness. He often talked to the flowers by his elf. "Sir, the young official historian has arrived." Lin hurried to fix her appearance upon hearing this, but the visitor was not the one she had been longing for. After just 3 days apart, Lin started to feel uneasy. This caused trouble for the attendants and palace maids. Impatient, Lin quickly changed clothes to climb the wall. After spotting Hailing, he smiled like a fool. "What's with your expression? What does that mean?" Finally, she arrived at the Lu Hall, but Lin pretended to be aloof again. "Let her in. It's been a while since she came in, but there's no sound." Lin couldn't help but sneak a glance again. He noticed Hailing was in a bad mood. Lin, who wasn't good at socializing, didn't ask. Not knowing the reason, he gave the room to Hailing. "It's okay if you cry. No one will come here. Go ahead and cry." It's all right. Hearing Hailing crying loudly inside, Li Lin unconsciously felt his eyes get moist. In the evening, Li Lin came to the Yewengwan with worries. He saw Hailing, who was working late alone, had fallen asleep from exhaustion. He unconsciously helped her finish all her work. To protect Hailing from being bullied, Li Lin even disguised himself as a janitor at the Yewengwan. "What are you doing here? As you can see, I'm grinding ink." To avoid revealing Li Lin's identity, Hailing had to play along with him. After being brought out, Li Lin, who had never worked before, Hailing is speaking for his frequent blunders. Taking him along is like carrying a fool. To prevent Li Lin from causing trouble with his words, Hailing simply stuffed food in his mouth. They were so busy at night that they forgot the curfew. To avoid being caught and taken to the criminal office, Hailing had to pretend as a sweet couple with him. Such sweetness. "I know you young lovers are all fired up, but you should also listen to what's outside." But even after she left, Li Lin didn't let go. Unable to return to the palace, Li Lin was taken home by Hailing. Hailing's maid saw her bring a man home. She surprisingly said all the rooms were drying pumpkins. Only Miss has one room left. Both intended to make do for the night. But in the end, Li Lin slept outside with her mat, though there was a door between them. They were both thinking of each other. The next day, Hailing arrived at the Elbu Hall. Li Lin took the chance to write a love letter for Hailing. Just as Hailing was reaching for it, Li Lin had a change of heart. While the two were grappling over it, an internal official burst in. "Now, Your Highness." The two froze in place. Fortunately, the king didn't press further. Hailing quickly exited. Li Lin looked at his father, the king, who had never stepped into his palace. He asked the king what brought him here. "Should we serve you some snacks? Did I come here because I have nothing to eat?" It turns out the king just learned about an outbreak among the people. After the crown prince proposed disaster relief measures, the chancellor sent the prince to the disaster area to calm the people. The prince also expressed his willingness to go. The king did not agree and stormed out of the hall. This is why he arrived at the Elbu Hall. The king knew that Li Lin had never had smallpox. He was powerless and had no influence. Yet, he resolutely decided to send Li Lin out to quell the chaos. Meanwhile, Hailing, who returned to the Yewengwan, happened to overhear her colleagues discussing who should be sent with the prince to Pyongyang. Seeing that no one was willing to go, worried about Li Lin, Hailing raised her hand. She even claimed she had had smallpox herself. The Queen Mother learned that her grandson was to be sent to the disaster area. She rushed into the hall to confront the king. She asked the king how he could bear to send his son to death, and ordered her son to retract the command immediately. The king replied that Li Lin, as a prince, should help ease the burden of the main chamber. "Isn't it because you're not his biological father? Your Majesty, please remember what I said. He must return to the palace safe and unharmed. You understand what I mean, right?" After coming out, Queen Mother immediately ordered Lady Kui assign people to secretly protect Li Lin, but a female official historian overheard them. That night, the female official historian reported this to the left chancellor. Before departing, the young prince found his brother Li Lin. He reminded him to take care of himself and come back safely. The next morning, Li Lin set off with Sanbao and a few pitiful guards. During a break, Li Lin watched Hailing working diligently. He couldn't help but smile. But just 3 seconds later, they put on a different face. When Minute Yuen passed water to Hailing, and went down and started chatting with the girl he admired. Li Lin, who was jealous, could only stretch his neck to eavesdrop due to his status. He saw Hailing talking endlessly with someone else. Li Lin was so furious he almost exploded. Fortunately, Sanbao brought a bowl of cold water in time. This helped cool Li Lin's anger. Soon, Li Lin and the others arrived in Pyongyang. Li Lin, who has never interacted with outsiders, was fortunate to have Sanbao's reminders. This prevented him from making a fool of himself. He learned from local officials that after the prince's herbs arrived, the pandemic was under control. The situation of the people was also improving. Li Lin finally felt relieved. After returning to his residence, Sanbao told Li Lin about the local food and attractions. The best place to visit is the nearby beach. Li Lin quickly made an excuse, saying he was tired from the journey. He asked Sanbao to prepare the toiletries. When Sanbao came in with the items, the room was already empty. He had taken off their clothes. Where could he have gone? The adult slipped away again. The prince, to meet his beloved girl, then tricked her out under the pretense of work. It was only when they reached the seaside that Hailing realized he had been deceived. She unhappily stated that she was very tired now, unlike his journey, which was all on horseback. Saying this, she let Li Lin enjoy himself before turning back. Seeing this, Li Lin quickly called out to Hailing. He told Hailing that he had been locked in the palace since childhood. His lifelong wish was to see the sea once. He hoped to have someone by his side in this beautiful moment. Soft-hearted Hailing sat down after hearing this. She took off her shoes and socks. Then she made Li Lin follow her example. Proud Li Lin was a bit shy at first, but soon the truth scene arrived. Li Lin, now free, happily chased Hailing, running and playing. The tired duo sat on a rock, chatting. Li Lin listened as Hailing explained Italy's Leaning Tower, the Egyptian pyramid, which people standing beneath. Its top was unseen. He expressed his envy. He is the Prince of Korea, but he didn't even know about North Korea's 8 parts. It wasn't until late that the two strolled back into the city. Just as they were about to enter the city, Hailing encountered the man she almost married at the city gate. Miss Hailing, scholar. After some small talk, Hailing wondered why the man was here. The man insisted on meeting the second prince. When he saw Li Lin, the man knelt before the prince. He pleaded for the prince to save the people. Li Lin looked puzzled. Only then did the man reveal the truth. The reports sent to the court about the disaster area are all false. The death toll from this outbreak has reached in Gyeonggi province alone. There are over 500. In Pyongyang County, the numbers are uncountable. The herbs dispatched by the court have not been sent. Even the healthy ones have been locked up. The village lacks enough food. They can only starve to death. Li Lin was shocked to hear this news. During the day, the officials claimed that food and herbs were distributed. The people's situation has also improved. The man said excitedly that those people are lying. They intercepted the court's medicines and food. This caused the people to live in misery. The two traveled overnight to the epidemic area, but the entrance to the village was guarded by soldiers. They could only enter the village on foot. On the way, Li Lin had a quarrel with a merchant he met. Seeing Li Lin being tossed aside like a chick made Hailing anxious. Hailing got really angry. The fleeing duo stumbled upon a mother and daughter. They learned from the woman that they had escaped from the village. Li Lin, who witnessed the horror, he decided to go back and ask the officials for clarity. Unexpectedly, the officials said, "This is done for the greater good. Sacrificing a few hundred can save thousands. This really seems like the right choice." Li Lin angrily stated this is not a choice. It is clearly abandonment. Then ordered to prepare medicine and relief supplies. He plans to head to the epidemic area immediately. The prince ordered someone to squeeze acne for the cows, and in front of the people, to inoculate himself with fresh cowpox juice. The people couldn't believe it. The prince would inject cow pus into himself. The prince did this to make the people believe that inoculating with cowpox prevents smallpox, and effectively prevents smallpox. However, the inoculated prince soon developed a high fever. Quickly, soldiers set up a perimeter outside. Under Hailing's careful watch, Li Lin slowly woke up 2 days later. San Bao rushed in with the doctor. "Did you suddenly crave grass? Or do you want to make this noise? You aren't growing a tail, are you?" The official behind couldn't bear to watch. Have the doctor check Li Lin's pulse quickly. Li Lin rolled up his sleeve to show the blisters on his arm. After checking the pulse, the doctor said the blisters are fading, not forming. This means the smallpox is about to heal. Li Lin then ordered the implementation of cowpox vaccination for the people. The people are still hesitant to get vaccinated. San Bao urged his master to make a statement quickly. "Like this? Why not use your charming face? Smile a bit brighter. Show that captivating smile. Let the people see." Surprisingly, this trick really works. After waving his hand for a long time, Li Lin felt exhausted. Fortunately, San Bao brought a carefully prepared special meal. However, Li Lin sent San Bao away. Then he wrapped up the boiled meat. Next, he found Hailing and said he had a gift for her. Hailing was puzzled when she opened it. Li Lin said awkwardly, he guessed she has been quite worried about him lately. She even looks slimmer. Hailing awkwardly replied that during this time, she had been eating well and sleeping soundly. Li Lin was anxious. The prince was in critical condition, near death. It seems she doesn't care about him at all. After saying that, he turned and left. "Your Highness, what is it now? I'm glad you woke up. You really are." The next day, Hailing watched the two men awkwardly feeding the child. Unable to watch, she suggested they should rather start a fire. In the end, the two ended up with nothing and couldn't start the fire. Even Sanbao teased the two people who were eventually rushed to move firewood. "My master only excels in looks and writing. Everything else is truly useless. Minute UN is the same. If left on a deserted island, they would surely starve." Sigh. By evening, the kids brought out the mugwort cakes they made. Hailing said they made these with the last of their ingredients. Li Lin took a piece and tried it. It was so delicious that I cried. It was delicious. Minute you should try it quickly. Yeah, this really is delicious. The next morning, the people came to bid farewell to the prince. Li Lin was very touched. Soon, a few people returned to the palace. Li Lin saw his father come out to greet him. Happily greeting the king, to his surprise, he received a hard slap in return. The ministers blamed the second prince for injecting cowpox into his noble body, deeming this an insult to the royal body. The king quickly banned cowpox inoculation and ordered the second prince to return to the palace immediately. Li Lin thought he had done something significant, but upon returning to see the king did not praise Li Lin at all. Instead, he slapped Li Lin directly. He mercilessly scolded Li Lin, revealing his true nature. It's not like that. I just wanted to help the people there. What do you know to speak of the people? You, locked up in the palace your whole life. What do you really understand? He even said this would not be taken lightly. The king was about to order punishment for Li Lin. Fortunately, the prince arrived just in time. The prince kneels on the ground, pleading the king for his brother's forgiveness. Unexpectedly, the king became even angrier. He told the prince not to interfere. The prince replied that the official historian was present. They will record everything you say and do today. The king glanced at the official historian and then stopped. This scene was fully observed by the queen mother from a distance. Li Lin returned to the Elview Hall. The queen mother was already waiting here. Upon entering, the queen mother praised her grandson for doing well this time, but the king will not give up easily. She advises her grandson not to recently. She lovingly holds her grandson's hand again. She says she had someone make your favorite pastries. Let them serve it here. Li Lin declined and stated he is at the age of maturity, hoping to move out of the palace. This is where you belong. This palace is where you should be. Seeing the queen mother's firm attitude, Li Lin stopped speaking. After returning to the Yuengwen, Hailing was advised by Minute Yuan. As a historian, what she witnessed today must be recorded accurately. Minute Yuan returned home. He saw his father, the chancellor, drinking. He approached to greet him. The left chancellor was relieved to see his son return safely. He invited him to sit down for a talk. He asked Minute Yuan to resign from his position as the official historian. He suggested going to Sunquanquan to become a scholar. Having topped the exams, he would never be said to have relied on his father's influence. But Minute Yuan remarked that being the son of a dad is already his biggest flaw. The left prime minister heard his son's assessment. He asked if his son was still blaming him for the past. Minute Yuan stood up to leave. One day, you will understand me. The prince woke up from his slumber. He was surprised to find the girl he liked lying next to him. Li Lin was so scared he didn't dare to move and lay back down. He calmed himself and tried to slowly pull his arm back. Unexpectedly, the sleeping Hailing rolled into his arms. It turned out that Li Lin met her on his way back from the library last night. He happened to run into Hailing, who was on night duty in the palace. He went up to ask her why she hadn't gone back yet. Hailing told him that tonight was the night of vigilance, so she couldn't sleep tonight. After hearing this, Li Lin suggested that Hailing read with him tonight, because he can't sleep tonight either. Then Li Lin took Hailing to a pavilion. They each held their books and started reading. Li Lin couldn't help but steal glances at Hailing. When caught, he pretended to read calmly. Little did he know, Hailing was also sneaking glances at him. Before long, Hailing couldn't stay awake. I definitely wasn't sleeping, but Li Lin had already laid down. Hailing walked over and gently took the book from Li Lin's hand. Looking at Li Lin's delicate face, Hailing couldn't help stretching out her hand and drawing him in the air. The next day, they woke up together. Hearing someone approaching, Li Lin, feeling nervous and awkward, wanted to wake Hailing. Oh, what's wrong? I'm sorry. I fell asleep. Hailing was like a chicken with its head cut off. Finally putting on her shoes, she was ready to sneak away, but they ran into the searching Sanbao and the palace maid. Sir, you're being so despicable again, sir. Hailing hid from Sanbao and the others. She was frightened and hid all around the palace. I am really going crazy. What have I even done? Sanbao found Li Lin. He asked what he was doing in such an open place. At least find a better place. He feels so embarrassed he can't go on living. Li Lin kept touching his arms and chest. He randomly told Sanbao there was a pleasant fragrance. Chiu Hailing, there's a nice scent on her. Sanbao by Li Lin days look made laughing and crying. Back to the room. Li Lin vividly recounted what happened last night to Sanbao. He even asked Sanbao to relive it with him. He asked Sanbao if Hailing was interested in him. Sanbao sees that his master looks like he wants to date. Sanbao asks if he truly wants Hailing's heart. He'll sincerely help him. Surprisingly, Li Lin actually asks him for advice. Really? If we dare to ask, the Sanbao dare to teach. Then, Hailing was called over. Hailing asks why she was summoned. Li Lin gets up and walks right over to Hailing. He then corners her against the wall step by step. Suddenly, he cabadon her. Don't forget, the key to this move is the gaze. You need to look at her with a strong, yet wild gaze like this. I want to make you my woman. Hailing was so scared that she ran out immediately. Then she asked Li Lin with a concerned look, "Are you feeling unwell anywhere now, or are you scolding me?" Hailing apologized for last night's incident, "But please don't use such a strange method to scold me. It's just too embarrassing." She turned and ran away. After cursing Sanbao in his mind, Li Lin hurriedly chased after her. He called out to stop Hailing. Li Lin rambled on incoherently. Just when Hailing thought he was going to confess, "You can go now." Hailing looked utterly confused. The woman forced her husband to do sex. She barged into the prince's council chamber with a female official. Prince Lijian was interrupted during his duties. He intended to let her take the official back first, then he visit her place later. But the princess simply sat down, starting to blame Lijian for always using business as an excuse. In 15 years in the palace, he hasn't do sex with her once. Every time on the night, he claims to have urgent matters to handle. Lijian explained that there really were urgent state affairs last night. Whether the crown princess believes it or not, he believes that state affairs are the most important to him. What use are those state affairs? You don't even have an heir to the throne. Concubine. Please watch your words. The consort expressed her anger even more. She had already been accused by the royal family of being infertile. She had already been accused dominant and vicious criminal. What else does she have to consider? For the past 15 years, she never hoped for him to love her as a woman. She only wanted to fulfill her own duties. The desire to become a mother, yet she still had to plead with him repeatedly. But how did he respond? He knew full well that she was being called a barren woman and criticized by others. He has never protected her either. It's really painful to hear the princess's grievances over the years. He apologized to her, but the princess interrupted him. She said she was tired of just lip service. Then she gave Lijian the date for their next intimate night. She reminded him to take care of himself before that. Save all his energy for having a child. If he ignores her request again this time, so she would really run to the street and pick up a random man. Before Lijian could answer, the princess stood up and was about to leave. Did you write it down without missing a word? Your Highness, wait until the evening. Lijian arrived at the princess's palace. After dismissing the servants, Lijian walked in helplessly. Upon entering, he saw the princess already prepared. Concubine. I'm sorry. Upon hearing Lijian's words, the prince's consort immediately burst into tears. The next day, news spread in the Yuengwa. The two female official historians in charge asked their superiors, "Should we record yesterday's events in the history books?" This unprecedented event made Yang Shixing hesitate to make a quick decision, so he decided to consult his superiors. As a result, the leader reacted upon hearing it was about the prince and princess do sex. He was scared and ran to his boss for help. But when the big boss heard it was about the prince, he directly tossed the mess back to the Yuengwa. Yang Shixing, who had just been there, got more angry thinking about it. In the end, he left the decision to Minute Yuen. Minute Yuen was not only the son of the left chancellor, but also the brother of the prince's consort. No matter what he decided, he wouldn't face serious consequences. The prince has arrived. The prince came specifically for this moment. He asked Minute Yuen to consider the prince's wife, delete all the records made by the female official historian. But Minute Yuen firmly refused. Then the prince called the 4 female official historians from the Yuengwa. The official historians thought they would be reprimanded by the prince. Unexpectedly, the prince did not blame them. He praised them as wise and fair historians. After the rewards, he specially gave them a day off. Then the prince went to the shooting range with his brother Li Lin. Today, he sent the official historian to the valley for fun, so there's no need to worry about any records. Love struck, Li Lin got anxious upon hearing this, because the valley is a famous hot spot for the officials to bathe. Xiao Hailing, the noble lady, enjoys watching the handsome men by the river. But this is just a scene imagined by Prince Li Lin. Li Lin, following his close aide's idea, he suddenly cabadoned Hailing, but Hailing misunderstood it as a lesson for herself. After failing to confess, he learned from his brother. Hailing went to the valley to have fun. Coincidentally, that place is well known among the rich boy. It's a famous bathing spot they often use. Li Lin imagined Hailing being taken by the rich boy. He never hit the target even once, but this time, he hit the bullseye. At this moment, Hailing was with the ladies chatting leisurely in the valley. When they were preparing for the picnic, they found they forgot the charcoal. The lady suggested she could go back to get it, but Hailing said it wasn't necessary. She could look for some twigs in the woods. But as she was gathering twigs, The sky suddenly poured down with heavy rain. The ladies down the hill had to pack up their things. Hailing, who was sheltering under a tree, thought the rain wouldn't stop soon, so she planned to brave the rain to find her companions. She had just stepped out from under the tree. Suddenly, a piece of clothing covered her head. Hailing tilted her head curiously. "I'm really worried about you." "Oh no, it smells like love." After the two found shelter under the rocks, Lilin finally mustered the courage to hold Hailing's hand for the first time. Luckily, they arrived in time. Hailing almost got taken away by someone else. "Hey, it seems like the rain is stopping. Then you can go." "The rain has stopped. I heard there are tigers on this mountain." Hailing proactively reached out her hand. Lilin felt delighted, but before she could walk 10 meters, her friend arrived. Hailing nervously pushed Lilin out. Then they made an excuse about looking for something lost. After sending the others away, Hailing quickly pulled Lilin up from behind the rock. "By the way, Hailing, you don't need to bring the wood anymore." "Okay, I understand." Hailing, feeling guilty, reached out her hand again. Lilin, who just came up, was about to express his dissatisfaction, but Hailing's next move made him swallow his words. "So beautiful." I meant the flowers behind." "I know. I have a bronze mirror at home too." Lilin, caught off guard, turned and ran away. After returning, Lilin's mind was filled with the image of Hailing taking his hand. So he told Sanbao about what happened during the day. He asked for help to analyze if Hailing liked him too. "She only took your hand to survive." Forget it. Such questions shouldn't be asked to an eunuchs. The next day, Lilin planned to meet Hailing at the Yuengwen. To his surprise, he saw Hailing laughing and talking with Minute Yuan. Sanbao immediately advised the prince to use a strategy of false pursuit. Lilin couldn't hear any of it. He went up and insisted that Hailing come with him to the Elbu Hall. However, Minute Yuan stopped him. From then on, Lilin regarded Minute Yuan as his chief rival. The straight prince had just successfully confessed to his crush, but the next day, the girl was thrown into prison. Hailing was eavesdropping on the king's secrets. She was accidentally spotted by a patrolling guard. The king questioned her about what she had just recorded. Nervous, Hailing tightened her grip on the history book. This made the king even more curious about what she had noted. He ordered her to hand over the book. Hailing explained that it was a historical records. The law states that even a prince has no right to access the history records. In anger, the king had her thrown into prison. Prince Lilin learned that Hailing was captured and taken to the detention center. Anxious, he immediately had someone bring him official robes to wear. He wanted to go to the king to plead for Hailing. Sanbao reminded him that he could only stand by. If he, who wasn't well regarded, went to plead for a female official, it wouldn't help her, and he might end up in trouble too. Calming down, Lilin suddenly understood. But when he thought of Hailing facing execution, Lilin stood up again. He insisted on pleading for her. But Sanbao held onto his thigh tightly and wouldn't let go. The king wanted to take advantage of this opportunity. Under the pretext of supervising the official historians, he sent the chief official to bring all the historical books. But when the chief official stormed into the library, the official historians fiercely resisted, citing the laws. They firmly refused to hand over the historical records. They were well aware that the records contained many of the king's faults. If they let the king set a precedent to examine the records, it would surely lead to alterations in the historical records. What remains for future generations will no longer be true history. The official historians, even if beaten and bruised, still stand firm inside. At night, Lilin secretly entered the cell to see Hailing, bringing out the clothes and food they brought. They also gave Hailing a bag of silver. He assured Hailing not to worry or be afraid. He would find a way to rescue her. But Hailing said she has offended the king. The end of being imprisoned in this unjust jail either is exiled or lose her life. Lilin quickly stated he would stick with Hailing no matter what. He also said if she was dismissed, he would leave the palace too. If she faced harsher punishment, he will help her escape. Hailing was touched but said Lilin couldn't do anything. Staying with her will just be a burden. Lilin became anxious when he heard this. How can you call me a burden? Where is there such an exquisite burden? Look carefully. I'm not a burden, I'm a treasure. After saying this, both were stunned. This is the first time being so close. Lilin finally mustered the courage to kiss. Adult. Time's up. What are you doing? Lilin, interrupted by Sanbao, could only explain. He was just testing if the railing was sturdy. Sanbao told Lilin to hurry and leave. Someone was coming. Lilin stood up, disappointed, and was about to leave, but Hailing suddenly kissed him on the cheek. After coming out, Lilin was still in shock. Hailing watched as Lilin prepared a heartfelt lunch for her. Her heart was sweet like honey. The next morning, Minute Yu Yuan took off the official robe and came outside the hall with an axe. He knelt and begged the king to retract the decree. If the history records must be examined, then let the axe strike his head first. The king was very angry, saying that the royal family had been controlled by the official historians for centuries, but the official historian was completely unrestrained. No one knows if the historian's records are true. He just wants to see if you've been doing your job well. You don't have the right to oversee the political records. How dare you? The king, furious, grabbed an axe to strike. Fortunately, he was held back by the ministers. Just as the king was about to pick up the axe again, the Confucian scholars from Sunkyungkwan entered in their simple robes. They also asked the king to retract his order. The king was furious but had to hold back his anger. Under the ministers' persuasion, the king eventually relented. Soon, Hailing was released. Since returning from prison, Li Lin seemed lost. His smile never left his face. Upon learning that Hailing was safely released, he immediately sent the servants away. He wanted to get a good beauty sleep. He planned to meet his future wife looking refreshed tomorrow. The petty king, wanting to vent his anger, called Hailing to the palace before dawn. He didn't spare even his queen, son, or daughter-in-law, bringing them all to the queen mother's hall to greet her. The queen mother, always at odds with the king, was awakened by the noise before dawn. She deliberately took her time getting ready, waiting until light appeared to invite the king in. The king, who hadn't greeted the queen mother, suddenly declared that he would come to greet her every day. After saying this, he looked at Hailing with a curious expression. The queen mother surprisingly accepted his proposal. She also reminded him to come at this time every day. The king didn't expect to be hoisted by his own petard. After coming out, the king dismissed everyone except for Hailing. After a morning of fuss, the king finally got to eat. Meanwhile, poor Hailing could only stand by. She kept recording his eating process. To tease Hailing, the king stuffed food into his mouth. Hailing could only speed up her recording. After finishing his meal, he went out for a stroll, only to find that he had upset his stomach. The king had to hurry everyone to find a place to solve it. Unexpectedly, even when using the restroom, the king asked Hailing to record beside it. What's worse is that even the king's ways, he insisted Hailing take it for the doctor to examine. Unable to stand it anymore, Hailing returned to Yuengguan. She was frustrated that she was the only one sent to the hall, but her colleague told her it was because she had eavesdropped on the king's conversation. The king is taking it out on us, the official historians. The king wants to defeat the Yuengguan to vent his frustration. For the next few days, the king wakes up before dawn. He torments Hailing with a busy routine. As a result, Hailing is exhausted from waking up early and working late. The king, because he is also upset with Hailing, it's making him doze off in the court. But Hailing still shows up on time every day waiting for the king. With Hailing's persistence, the king finally can't take it anymore. Doesn't that girl ever sleep? How long will this go on? Just let me rest for a moment. The frustrated king summoned Hailing alone. The king suggested reconciling with Hailing. However, Hailing insisted on staying true to her principles. The king didn't expect to hit a hard wall. He could only let Hailing set the terms. In the end, Hailing secured a deal from the king, a guarantee that the king will not conduct affairs in the Yuengguan. To celebrate Hailing's victory, colleagues at the Yuengguan threw a banquet. While Hailing was happily drinking with her colleagues, Prince Li Lin approached. He, hiding nearby, was spotted by the male official historian from the Yuengguan. What are you so focused on? The official historians recognized he once worked as a helper at the Yuengguan. They invited him to join the banquet. When Hailing saw Li Lin, she desperately signaled to Minute Yu Yuan, who knew Li Lin's identity. Finally, due to Hailing's persistence, she earned the king's recognition and compromise. The king decreed that from now on, he would not interfere with the official historian's work. To thank Hailing, they held a celebration banquet. Li Lin, who joined, was constantly toasted by the official historians. Worried about Li Lin's health, Hailing could only help him secretly. Lead to the chief supervisor. Oh no. Are you blind? How could that be the chief minister? Really? He looks very similar. After the banquet, Li Lin brought the drunk Hailing back at his place. He even thoughtfully prepared her some hangover soup. Just as Hailing was about to lay down, she accidentally found the love letters Li Lin had hidden. After seeing what was on the paper, Hailing finally realized that Li Lin has admired her for a long time. When Li Lin offered Hailing the hangover soup, Hai LNG stared at him in silence. Li Lin asked worriedly if she felt unwell. Hailing looked at Li Lin with a complex expression. Then she recited the love letter Li Lin had written to her. I hope, my love, live long, always be my master. Before Li Lin could react, Hailing leaned down and kissed him. The next day, Li Lin seemed possessed. Even in the water while washing his face, he saw Hailing's silhouette. Even he mistook the close attendant for Hailing. And the usually lazy Hailing uncharacteristically got up early and dressed up. The palace used official business to come to the Elview Hall. As soon as Hailing entered, she saw Li Lin sitting strangely outside. She curiously asked Li Lin what he was doing. "I am cultivating myself." Turning around, he saw Hailing's delicate face. Li Lin nervously stood up and was about to go back inside, but Hailing quickly pulled him back. "Are you afraid I'll eat you? What do you mean by eat me? How can you say something so frivolous? Get used to this kind of thing quickly." But their romance has just begun. The next day, the royal attendant brought bad news. The palace was preparing a wedding ceremony for the prince. Among the remaining princes, only Li Lin was still unmarried. Their conversation was overheard by Hailing, who had just entered. Unintentionally overhearing them, Hailing felt uncomfortable. Still, she congratulated Li Lin and turned to leave. Li Lin hurriedly chased after Hailing. He assured her that he would never marry anyone else. He asked Hailing if she felt the same way, but Hailing said she didn't want to spend her life as a lady in the inner house. After saying that, she left Li Lin to return to the Yuanguan. Soon, Li Lin came after her. He wanted Hailing to go somewhere with him. They arrived at the Queen Mother's hall. Li Lin boldly asked the Queen Mother revoke the decree for him to marry. He also said he already had a woman he liked. He doesn't want anyone but her. Meanwhile, Hailing was recording their conversation. Her emotions are complex. The Queen Mother understands Li Lin's feelings, but she doesn't agree with his decision. As a prince, marriage is more than personal feelings. It is a matter of state. After coming out, Hailing casually said she wanted to go back. Li Lin angrily questioned why she was so indifferent. He wanted to know what Hailing was really thinking. "Just tell me honestly. Say that you don't want to. I married another woman." "Ju Hailing, that was a royal decree. Just listen up." Li Lin got angry and turned to leave. Soon, the selected women entered the palace. As official historian, Hailing was in charge of the records. When she saw the Empress pleased with the young beauties, she felt quite upset. Hailing was troubled, but she can only drown her sorrows in alcohol once she gets home. And Li Lin no longer had a smile on his face. The selection list had a problem. Unexpectedly, the final selection list also had issues. It turned out that the left minister abused his power. He had predetermined the female official historian, Song Shishi, who had been passing messages there. But the left minister did not expect that. Song Shishi, the female historian, had secretly loved the crown prince, Li Jun. When Song Shishi learned she was to marry Li Lin, she decided to meet the crown prince one last time. She left the East Palace early the next morning. Two young maidens saw her. Soon the news reached the Queen Mother's residence. The Queen Mother was very pleased to hear the news. Someone helped her disrupt the Chancellor's plan. Due to rumors between Song Shishi and the crown prince, Li Lin's marriage must be postponed. To comfort her grandson, the Queen Mother told Li Lin not to worry. She said she would soon choose again for him. This time, Li Lin firmly stated that he doesn't want to get married yet. Sam Bao is worried that his master is depressed. He took a lot of persuasion to get Li Lin out of the palace. Seeing through his master's thoughts, Sam Bao took Li Lin to a house. It said that couples living in this twin tree villa live happily. Suddenly, Li Lin's mind flashed. The scene of living here with Hailing came to him. Sitting under the eaves, he suddenly made a decision. He ran to Hailing's house and knocked loudly on the door. But when Hailing saw him, she told Li Lin to go back to the palace. Li Lin hurriedly hugged Hailing from behind. "If you don't want to be the prince's wife, then don't. Just don't be the prince. I can give up everything." Li Lin almost begged Hailing not to push him away, but Hailing still pulled Li Lin's hands away. She couldn't bear for him to give up his princely status for her, so she deliberately used harsh words to make him let go. "Hailing, you know well. You mean everything to me." "I'm sorry, I don't think so." As Hailing entered the house, Li Lin finally broke down in tears. At that moment, he felt like the sky had fallen, and Hailing hid inside, crying her heart out. Yet, no one expected. After a chance encounter not long later, both have learned their true identities. The heartbroken prince wakes up. He finds his personal eunuch and maid. They are whispering about him. "What are you doing? Keep it down." Before the prince wakes up, "Sir." "Happy birthday, sir. Today is Li Lin's birthday." Sam Bao worried that his master couldn't move on from the breakup. He created a surprise to cheer up Li Lin. Seeing that his master finally agreed to eat, Sam Bao finally felt relieved. At this moment, the Queen Mother's people arrived. Soon, the Queen Mother took Li Lin out of the palace to pay respects to the late king. Li Lin was confused but still complied. In the palace, the king was shocked to learn about this. He instructed to keep this from the chancellor, but the chancellor soon received the news. Li Lin had a strange dream that night. He dreamt that the late king called his name warmly, Lin. The next day on his way back to the palace, Li Lin was suddenly attacked. Realizing the danger, Li Lin tried to protect Hailing. He was hit by an arrow from behind and fainted. Fortunately, the wound wasn't deep, and he soon regained consciousness. The prince rushed over upon hearing the news. He was curious why his brother never cared about politics. Why would someone want to harm him? There is only one reason. It's because of me. I paid respects at the late king's grave. And Hailing also found her brothers hiding something from her. The two unexpectedly met outside the door. Then they went to a place from Li Lin's dream. To their surprise, a painting of the late king appeared inside. The two stared at the painting in shock. That's not a dream. Who is he? Just call me Mr. Hu Tan. The former lord, Prince Li Qian. The two were stunned again. After they came out, Li Lin asked her why she knew the former king. Hailing then revealed her background. 20 years ago, her father died for treason. Her current brother is just a disciple of her father. To save herself, her brother took her, at 6 years old, to the Qing. She returned to Hanyang after 20 years of fleeing. She returned to uncover the truth of that year. Seeing the portrait made her recall meeting the former king as a child. She remembers the strong bond between the former king and her father. She wants to find out why the former king became a worthless ruler, and why her father was labeled a traitor. Li Lin, equally puzzled, decided to go to the palace that night to find his father. Meanwhile, inside the palace, the Queen Mother confronted the king. She questioned his audacity to break vows and put Jilin at risk. If anything happens to Dao Yuan, she would hang myself without hesitation. The ruler would be remembered as a king who killed his mother. Whether it's 20 years ago or now, my feelings have not changed at all. After returning to the palace, Li Lin first went to the Yuwenguan to check his birth records, but there were no records of his birth here. He immediately went to the main hall to request an audience with the king, but he was stopped outside the hall. He was unable to enter, until the king finally agreed to meet Li Lin in the evening. Facing the king's reprimand, Li Lin finally asked the question he had wanted to ask for 20 years, even if just for a moment. Did father ever love me? After returning to the palace, Li Lin found the plaque of the place where he was imprisoned for 20 years, and discovered all the records from the day he was born. It turned out that on the night Li Lin was born 20 years ago, the left prime minister, with Prince Xianning who wasn't king yet. The unprepared former king was soon attacked in the Great Hall. The left prime minister presented fabricated evidence of the king's obsession with cult, claiming that the king threatened the foundation of the country, force him to confess and submit. The king directly exposed his intentions. He claims he didn't comply with your words. He just wanted to give those unable opportunities to young people who cannot participate in politics, just to make you, who craves power, feel the crisis. The left prime minister, accused of plotting, shot an arrow into the king. All who supported the king's reforms were executed for treason. 6-year-old Hailing thus lost her father and newborn Li Lin. In a situation where the Queen Mother threatened Prince Xianning's life, sent to the Elgu Hall, he was locked away for 20 years. Now the truth is out. Those who were loyal to the former king all supported Li Lin in reclaiming his position. So, at the king's birthday banquet, Hailing's brother came out to publicly apologize. He said the left prime minister pressured him into rewriting letters back then, and made him to form the former king. After presenting the evidence, he asked the king to execute himself and the left prime minister who threatened the royal family. The left prime minister, who holds absolute power in the court, has the upper hand, being the one who placed the king on the throne. When officials raised questions, the left prime minister simply told them to be silent. Anyone agreeing with it would be regarded as a traitor. Even if the Queen Mother spoke up, he had to kill her first before he could kill others. The left prime minister rebuts fearlessly. The Queen Mother finally reveals her true self. Whoever speaks up will face the same punishment. Just then, Li Lin rushed over. The guilty king hurriedly told Li Lin to return to the Elgu Hall. But Li Lin said he was no longer the Dao Yuan. I am the son of Prince Li Qian. Li Lin. Dao Yuan. The king angrily told Li Lin to shut up. At the gesture of the left prime minister, the king ordered all the official historians to cease writing. Seeing no one would listen, the king immediately decreed that any of the official historians refusing to leave would die here. Hailing stepped forward at the words, Your Highness, even if you kill me, I will not stop writing history, even if I fall. Another official historian will take my place. Even if Your Highness exterminates all the official historians in this territory, it will not stop us. Hailing's words prompted all the historians present to step forward. The left Prime Minister boldly reminded the king without fear, "These people all have treasonous intentions. They should be dealt with immediately. Your Highness, put away that arrow." The Crown Prince told the king, "Those who threaten your Highness's realm are the left Prime Minister. The real threat to the king is also the left Prime Minister." The Crown Prince proposed to clear the name of the former king, returning Li Lin's rightful royal status, restoring the reputation of the wrong. "Please correct the historical facts, Your Highness." Soon, the situation turned entirely in favor of Li Lin. Li Lin, now supported by everyone, sought the Queen Mother. He asked to renounce his title of Lord. He said he never desired that position. He only wanted to live as an ordinary person. After the left Prime Minister's death, his daughter escaped her fate as a concubine. The fleeing Li Lin left the mess to the Crown Prince. The Queen Mother was troubled by her grandson's escape, but she heard that Li Lin was doing well outside. She is tough-talking but soft-hearted. She repeatedly told herself she wouldn't forgive that traitorous child. What surprised everyone was that Li Lin, who gave up his throne, became a charming man. He waited for Hailing to return in various charming ways every day. Really? They spend all day together. Why not get married? I really can't understand. Every morning, the sleepy Hailing is gently awakened by Li Lin. It's time to get up for work. It's already past. And the busy Hailing still makes sure to give a kiss before heading to work. "I'm heading out." Good, take care. That's the end of the film.